All right, welcome back to the MVP podcast. Marcus here with my co-host Natasha for episode 5 of the MVP Rentals podcast. We have Bobbi Gamaché. Did I say that right?
Gamaché.
Gamaché. I'm sorry.
I'm insulted.
I apologize. I will get it right the second time. Here with us today. This is going to be a little bit different podcast. I'm going to let her explain her field because she knows it best. All I know is that I love the field. I've used her on 2 of my properties. She does some personal work with Reiki with me.
Really?
I love it. Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I think we've had a few sessions, right?
3, maybe?
Yeah. Kind of like my confidant. I talk to her about everything that's going on in my life, about energy and all that stuff that fascinates me. She loves the world, and I love talking about it. So I am excited about this podcast. It's a little bit different than the finance one that we've had in the past.
I am so fascinated.
Yeah. So we had our fascinating history lesson with Lauren, and this is going to be a fascinating energy lesson with Bobbi.
I can't wait.
So thank you for the time. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We always start out the show kind of the same direction. Like we've talked about in every podcast, everybody's path is different to where they're at. But I'm always fascinated with from where you start, how did you get to this point right here where you are just chomping at the bit to get on this podcast? What in your path took you to where you're at right now?
Lots of disasters, honestly.
That's what I like to hear.
I was pre-med prior to all of this. I was convinced I was going to be a doctor, and through several car accidents, actually, the last one being a 4-car car accident, where my seatbelt and airbag failed in my car. I had a severe concussion.
Oh, no.
I was in a neck brace. Like, it was bad. I couldn't work. I had like a 3-minute memory span. It tore my whole life up. But that was the incident where, I was getting treated by doctors. I'm pre-med, and all of it failed. Like, they're like, you're never going to have a decent memory. You're always going to have migraines every day. Like, your life is never going to be the same. I called baloney on that, and I started looking at alternative methods. I saw an acupuncturist. She said, Bobbi, I'm going to stick a needle in your big toe to make your migraines go away. And I called baloney again because I'm very black and white at that point, and it totally rocked my world. And so we started talking about energy and different spiritual stuff, and she's like, Bobbi, I think you have gifts. And I'm, again, baloney. There's a theme here, you guys.
And how many years ago was this? Just to put in perspective of where we're at.
I was 21. I am now 30. So 9 years ago.
Okay.
So that was weird saying 30.
I'm 30, so it's
Monday.
okay.
Oh my God, you guys are making me feel old.
So
Score on the table. Everybody say their
No.
she convinced me to go to Sedona, Arizona, which is my most favorite place in the whole wide world.
Which is why you're talking me into going there.
Am I succeeding?
Timing is everything.
He didn't say no.
All right, I'm not saying no. I would love to go. It's just timing. Timing has to fit.
In Sedona, there's these things called vortexes. They've been studied by all sorts of different organizations, but essentially it's a vortex of energy that comes up from the red rock and completely transforms your energy, and it reacts differently to everybody. So they have these things called juniper trees in Sedona that are actually twisting in the vortexes, which they consider proof of the vortexes.
Really?
So we went to the vortex at Rachel's Knoll. I sat in it, and it was like 5 minutes of crying, laughing, screaming. Like, every repressed emotion I had, every thing I wish I could have let out, all came out in 5 minutes. There's a picture that exists of this moment that will never be shared with the public ever.
I need this in my life.
The vortex or the picture?
The vortex.
Okay, I can make that happen.
Okay.
The picture is under lock and key.
Okay, that's
So,
Oh, these trees are fascinating.
yeah, they're really cool. And even to see them, like, they literally twisted so much that they're growing on top of themselves. So anyway,
Take a look at these. So as she was talking, I Googled because I wanted to see what these trees looked like, and they are fascinating. So if you're listening to the podcast, Google, I think I just Googled twisted tree Sedona.
twisted juniper tree Sedona would be more accurate.
Okay.
If we want to be technical. So after I got back from Sedona, then I started my first business, which was Sacred Spiral, which was tarot reading and Reiki. So I was doing my Reiki training and also treating people. And it blew up really, really fast. Like in 6 months, I was booking out 3 months at a time. So I'm like, oh, this is a thing. This is great. But I was still working a full-time job as an insurance underwriter. So I was kind of
Fascinating field.
Well, I'm a big nerd, so I really liked it. Like, I didn't hate my job. It's just that I loved this. I was really
Right.
good at my job.
Right.
But anyway, I got up one morning. I was living in Franksville at the time, and I remember the morning I said, screw this. I quit my job. I got up that morning. I remember looking at the tree that was right outside my bedroom. I said, I'm done. Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm not doing the double life thing anymore. So I went to work. I put my 2 weeks in, and then I traveled. I went to India, Italy, and Spain just to get a break from life. I came back, and I was full-time in my business. And then people started to ask me, well, Bobbi, can you teach me how to do readings? Can you teach me how to do Reiki? Can you teach me about energy? So then I kind of split my time. And then as time progressed, then it was, well, Bobbi, how are you growing your business energetically? So now I teach spiritualpreneurs and I certify energy healers.
That is amazing.
So it's a big, like, whatever this motion is how I got here. And the things that change in my life, I still don't see them coming. And I think that's awesome because that's how energy works.
Yeah. No, I think it's a constant flow, and you just got to try and match everything up, which is...
I would argue you don't try to do anything. You just show up to what's presented to you.
Let it be.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I guess it's perspective at that point. Like,
Yeah.
the energy is going to hit you. It's just how you're taking it and how you're reacting to it.
Exactly. And knowing what you're looking for. You know, change is hard. And I think especially for business owners, it's really hard because you want everything to go perfect and money's involved and livelihood is involved. But when you've been through it enough, you can see what in my world we call an up level. So something exciting and big is going to happen, but it usually is preceded by, here, let's get rid of everything in your life and throw a bunch of challenges your way to clear the slate so you have room for an up level. So once you do that enough times, you recognize it and it gets a little bit easier to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I could talk about this all day,
I
literally.
don't like bad things happening, though.
We've got
so.
like 4 hours slotted for this podcast, so keep talking.
Oh, fantastic. I could talk for all 4 hours. I'm doing a free training right now on Facebook, and literally my marketing person is like, Bobbi, to keep it to 15 minutes. Not going to happen. Everyone is like at least an hour.
Oh my gosh.
But we keep people on it because it's just so interesting.
And you said it's on your Facebook?
It's in a different Facebook group, yes.
Okay.
We have pop-up training groups.
Gotcha. Is this something for public or for your...
It's public, yeah.
Okay.
So the next one will be in 4 weeks.
Okay. How can the public find that one?
Go to Sacred Spiral Academy private group on Facebook. We
Okay.
always announce them there.
Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to throw a plug in there for people
Thank
because
you.
I did not know it, which means I'm now going to watch it.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Like
That makes me so excited. They're a lot of fun. They're literally one of my favorite things to do
fun.
because there's breakthroughs left and right. And oh my God, I didn't know it worked that way. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And one thing you said, I just wanted to highlight because I went through that personally too, like having your full-time job that you enjoy, that you like going to every day while trying to build your business.
Mm-hmm.
And there comes across where the way that I felt in my life was I can't do both well.
Yeah.
So one has to go. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I don't like the other one. It's just one is, I guess, more passionate to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I pick that one.
Yes.
In the day that it clicks in your head where you're just like, I'm done, I'm moving on, I'm going to quote unquote simplify my life because running a business is not simple,
No.
which is awesome when
A
I
business
read.
is simple. Humans make it challenging.
True. It's, I always talk to people about wanting to start their business and they want to go off and do this, this, and this because then they can have time back and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know what business you're trying to run.
Right.
I wish I felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you had much of that too, where
In
You
my
dropped the-
full-time job, yes.
yeah,
I don't ever feel that way about my current business.
And
You are-
my position was completely different. I owned a previous business and I sold it to now do what I love.
yeah.
So it's been a crazy world.
Yeah. And this is where everybody's paths are different. And if you talk about it, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of seems more normal and it's not as like vulnerable to say it, but
Mm-hmm.
Right.
everybody just comes from a different path. And
I liked my underwriting job. I mean, like I said, I'm a big nerd. So being able to look at medical records and then financials and, you know, other more obscure things, like I love that. I love
Yeah.
using my brain. And so I didn't hate it, but it was the difference between I'm doing this and I'm good at it and I'm settling because I'm good at it and something that I love to do that I was also good at.
yeah.
So realizing that I had the choice, but then also having, hold on, how do I edit my famous statement so it's not swearing? Scared, crapless and excited.
Yeah.
It's the tagline that a lot of people use in the academy, because that's when you're on a big change moment. You are scared, crapless, but you're also super excited because you feel it in your bones, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when you know you're on a breakthrough moment. So that's what that morning was for me. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this or how I'm going to pay my bills, but... And then in typical Bobbi fashion, I don't do anything small, which is not always a great thing. I let go of my apartments, shaved my head. I condensed my life into 6 boxes.
Oh my gosh.
Sold my car because I wanted to go travel, and I didn't want to have any roots here. Like I wanted to go all in. And I just cried all the way to the airport, and then they didn't let me on the plane. That's a whole other story.
Oh my gosh.
So then I'm like, now what do I do? Yeah, it was an interesting year.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine.
But it all worked out. You went for it?
I ended up being able to go, I think it was like 4 months later. But I tried twice to get over there. The first time they wouldn't let me on the plane. The second time I was overflow because they had a ticketing error. So I finally got to go then 4 months later.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least it panned out and you...
And I loved it.
Maybe the timing just wasn't right.
There's definitely reasons. That's a whole other story. This is why I could talk and talk, you guys. Looking back, I know why it happened, but in the moment, it was like, what is happening to my life? Mm-hmm. And why is this happening? I just put everything in this, and it's not working the way I wanted it to, but I'm so glad it didn't.
Good.
In hindsight.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So just to like get a bigger background of your business.
You want more background on
the
me?
way that well, I do. The way that I always see it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got your Reiki, which is you now performing, or how would you put it? It's not performing, it
is a transfer of energy.
Yeah.
So Reiki is one component of the healing sessions that I do. I call it Reiki for ease of explanation. A lot of people, do you know what Reiki is?
Kind of.
Okay.
Not really.
So Reiki is purely just the universal energy transferred through the practitioner into the person that is receiving. Yes. You look like you wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was listening
So
intently. Sorry, my back, I've been carrying drywall all day and my back is so tight. So that was just me stretching my back out.
Or listening intently.
Just wait until we get this filmed and people can see me struggle with my back.
I know. I was thinking that we should.
That's version 2.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be fun.
Just make sure I'm super fancy.
Yeah,
again,
I'm gonna have to dress up. I can't go like this.
You could.
And
just be the.
It would be really inauthentic if you did anything else. You
That is true.
Everywhere else like
The
this.
slubby, grubby, you know.
What house rehabber wears a suit? You know.
That's what I'm saying. We got on a tangent. What was I talking about?
Reiki.
And universal energy transfer. So science will call that the vibration that your body creates, altering the vibration of another person's body. Spirituality, energetics calls it universal energy. So it kind of depends on which mindset you want. But the sessions that like you've done, Reiki is one aspect of it. You know, there's other elements in it, but it's literally just a laying of the hands on the body of whoever's receiving to alter their energy for healing. And healing can be mentally, emotional, physical, spiritual. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a Reiki side, and then you have a academy side where you teach people, and then you've got a third where you can actually, when we're going to touch on this today, where you go into homes and you can clear energy within spaces, not just heal energy within people.
Right. So there's 3 legs of the academy.
Yep.
One is the one-on-one sessions with me, which you'll be the first to know. Those are actually getting closed down because I have so many students that I'm going to transfer that service now to my students who have trained with me.
Okay.
But for all intents and purposes, that's one right now. And then there's the academy side. So I'm teaching healers and spiritualpreneurs. In that healers program is where we go to homes and assess the energy of a home and decide if it needs to be altered in any way, or if something bad happened, or if there's ghosts or whatever. But it's under the context of teaching my students.
Now, we're filming in my home. Are there ghosts? Is there anything
I can certainly tell you afterwards.
We won't drop that bombshell on air. Yeah. We'll wait till after the show's done.
It feels pretty good in here. Okay. I kind of doubt it. Awesome. I kind of love it in here, and I wouldn't if there was something going on. I can't say the same for all your houses.
I know. We'll talk about the Blaine one.
I was going to ask if I can talk about
We'll talk about the Blaine one, which was fascinating because when I first found out you did that and you asked if you could use my house for your students, I was like, absolutely yes. But in my head, I'm like, I'm not telling her anything I know about the house. Because I met the previous owners. I've walked through the house. Like, I knew the status, what was going on. And for what she was walking into and how close she was with what was going on to the situation was fascinating.
I need to hear about this.
It was bizarre. It was bizarre. And I was like, I now believe, because like she was on point with everything that was going on.
Were you skeptical?
I wouldn't say skeptical, because I believe in this. Like, I believe we're all just...
You were skeptical.
I was not skeptical. I was seeing how close you could get.
If you could see the conversations he had with me, like when we were talking about it.
Skeptical.
He thinks he was being all like slick about, I'm not going to tell her anything. But there was clearly like, the reactions I get when I'm not telling you nothing.
I wanted to see. It was a test. I wanted to see. But no, I wouldn't say skeptical. Skeptical means like I have no faith in it whatsoever. Like, I believe in the world. I believe in like the physical bodies that we have carry energy, and
that's fair.
It can be
that's
read.
Fair. You were obviously open to it all.
Absolutely. And I want all of my properties to have you in them, and before and afters.
That's awesome.
So full on, I believe it.
I'm so excited. I'm like geeking out over here.
This is why when you and I get coffee, it's like we talk for hours, because you can keep going and going and going.
So we go to coffee for a half hour, and then like 2.5 hours later, we're like, well, we should get on with our day.
Yeah.
Or we just closed down the coffee shop.
That is true.
That one guy came over and he's like, guys, we're closing. We were talking about Blaine that night.
Whoops. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
So can I talk about Blaine a little bit?
Yeah. So I was going to bring in the topic of what can you do for homeowners. That is actually a very good segue into it. So we'll just go, what can you do for me as a homeowner? And then you can talk about Blaine.
I feel like Blaine is like the most extreme example of what can happen. So it's probably better to start with something softer. But anytime a practitioner comes into a home to look at the energy, we're looking at a couple different things. So what energy is left over from the prior occupants? What is the energy currently swirling in the house? Because, I mean, especially in your industry, you're talking about people who have gone in there for showings. Maybe you're doing contractor work. Anytime there's someone or something in the house, you have the potential of energy being impacted. And then we're going to look at, after someone's moved in, their items are now in the house. Is everything melding? Is the energy high? Is anything left over? So it comes in multiple stages. We usually get called when something is either history-wise with the house, aka Blaine, a nightmare, or
can't wait to move in.
We fixed it for you.
I know.
Except when you sanded the stuff, like
I know it was a poor sanding job.
So
we'll get into that one.
I'm so glad I can throw you under the bus with the sanding.
No, that's good.
So it's either like that with the history of the house, where we know there's history, or there's something actively going on that people are like, what the heck is this? And I'm terrified. So it's usually one of the two. It's pretty rare where it's like, hey, Bobbi, can you just juice up the energy of the house? Mm-hmm. Which, honestly, that would be better than waiting until you're scared.
I think my ex-husband's house is haunted, or there's just something weird going on at that house. But it's okay. You can let it still be haunted.
Okay, I'm fine. I heard the ex-husband part, so we'll just let that all be.
Just slide it in there.
So with Blaine, all I knew were the pictures, I think, right, that you sent me?
Yep, I did send you pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so originally I'm like, this is great, because we had just moved and I didn't have a consistent contact to be like, I work with houses. So I was really excited about it. And then you sent me the pictures, which give me the initial first three. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want my students involved in this. So I went in.
To my knowledge, you did not take your students the first time through.
I did not know, because there are certain things that can happen in a house that when you're learning, I don't want them to be in that scenario. Because I try to create a good experience, a good learning experience, not like the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So I went in, I remember climbing on the ladder to get in, which talk about creep factor. I have to climb up a ladder to get into this house. And upstairs, how much detail do you want me to give?
Whatever you feel comfortable.
Oh my goodness.
It's your house, so it's not my comfort level.
I don't mind. I'm just trying to look out for the public.
What is going on here?
Well, upstairs, we'll call it a feisty energy, and did the least favorite thing that I see with energy in a house, which is climbing on the walls. I hate that. And then downstairs, there was definitely some sort of portal that was letting in darker kind of energy. I don't prescribe to angel demon because the way that I've experienced energy through students and cases is more of is it high vibration light? Is it lower vibration dark? Is it here for good intentions? Does it have its own intentions, bad intentions, whatever? So bad intentions was basement. And it's partly because of, the symbols that were on the wall that you then sanded into the wall like a boss.
So there was, to end the cliffhanger, there was a symbol, or there's a couple symbols on the wall that she was like, hey, next time I come in, those need to be off the wall. It's going to help clear. I said, great. I've got a power sander. I'll just sand off. And it was on concrete. And I sanded, and there was no lights in the basement. We had the electrical turned off. So I'm sitting there in the half dark, sanding these emblems off in the exact shape of the emblem. So when I put a flashlight, like I took a picture, I was like, hey, I sanded it, and I sent it before I looked at the picture. And then I looked at the picture, I was like, yeah, it's just not Sharpie now. Now it's just like bare concrete. And it was not a good symbol. We'll put it that way.
I mean, I can name them.
So she just gave me a lot of crap for that one.
And I will continue to.
Yes, absolutely.
But you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That is the first time ever that I've had to say to someone, remove it, and then I find out they've sanded it in. Like, that's the first time.
You're welcome.
It's boy brain.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, I read a little bit of the history on the house. I didn't want to go too far into that until my students got there, so everything was fresh. But ultimately, I was fine with them coming in to clear the top floor and the main floor, but they didn't go into the basement. I still have not taken students into the basement until he gets the stairs in, and then I'll take some students down there. And, they were amazing. They talked a lot about the history. One of my students was able to describe, which we later found out was he the husband?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had it was the beard, I think she called out, that was very notable on this individual.
Yeah. And there's nothing in the house. Like, there's not like a trimmer or picture. There's nothing in the house. So for them to pull out that this guy had a very, very thick beard, which he did have a very, very thick beard, was like fascinating to me. I think your other student called out that there was like some medical underlying thing. Yep. And when I met him, there was medical underlying. And not like I went to the doctor last week. It's been like an ongoing thing.
My jaw is like on the ground right now, just in case you guys were wondering.
And they were picking up, and I'm sorry that I'm spilling the beans, they were picking up like how the family worked in terms of the female energy, the male energy, the kid energy, how they all interacted. And like from me talking to them, it was like spot on.
I have goosebumps. Like
that's what I was.
Goosebumps is when you know it's true. So, and like, I think it's easy for people to hear that and think, oh, they're reading people's minds or whatever. But that is the energy that was left over in the house. That's why we were able to do that, because there's so much of their energy imprinted into the house that people who are trained in reading that can go in and know what happened in the house. That's the very reason why you want something cleared before you live in it, because otherwise you would be living in all that. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely said to you, I don't know if it was these words or not, but I said it needs to get worked on before you take your son in there. Because that's one of those circumstances that, if someone were to just move into that house without having it cleared, they're going to start to experience the things that the other family did. So, you would be looking at health issues, or your son would. There would be arguments, there would be abuse, there would be all sorts of terrible things potentially happening. We can't know for sure, but it was potent enough where I said to him, not with your son yet. Mm-hmm. And there have been cases where I've told people, you just got to move. There's nothing we can do here.
What? Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. That would be heartbreaking.
That's what I was fearing. I was like, is she going to tell me that I can't move in here?
Most times people are relieved, because I think it's validating of the intensity that they've experienced. But yeah, it's never a fun message.
No, and it's like, what happens to the next people that move into this house? Or should you just demolish it? Like, holy cow.
Yeah, I won't name the business, but a business brought me in they were testing me, which is fine. It happens. It's a place where is that? I'm so directionally challenged. Downtown, older part of downtown. Not really downtown, but...
What city?
This is why I'm trying to get
Oh, I gotcha.
It will come to me. Soldiers something. Not soldiers. No. Nah. Directionally challenge you guys. I can do a lot of stuff. Direction's not one of them. Anyway, it's an older bar. And, you know, I'm reading this and, you know, there's been abortions and the mafia and bodies buried down in the basement and, you know, things attaching to people that cause ailments. And so then that was proven. They later found, you know, 3 bodies buried in the foundation of the building.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
They knew of, you know, that it used to be a prostitution / brothel kind of situation back in the day, and they did illegal abortions on the first floor. Like, yeah, it's interesting.
Wow.
But I'm really against this place,
Oh
to
my
be fair,
gosh.
because they capitalize on it. And I don't think that's right.
Oh.
And then they get people in trouble, and then things start following people home, and then it's a whole thing.
So you just need to clear all the buildings.
I would love to. I have enough students to clear all the buildings.
Let's go door knocking.
Great, we'll do that.
Is that all the details you wanted out of Blaine, or do you still have questions?
No, I have so many questions.
Because she came back after that one, and I was like, so should I knock this down? And I know that she just said, like, well, you're going to take off the roof, and that'll let it open up a little bit, so that'll help. And I'm going to blame it on her of why I completely demolished this thing. I demolished all but 3 walls and then rebuilt it. So it could breathe.
This is the first time I'm hearing about the blame.
In a good way. It's good blame.
Okay, thanks.
No, I knew I had to do something different with it. And then knowing that if I tear more off, it will help.
Yeah. So we can say this off air, but what happened
With what?
with
Which part
Blaine?
of it?
With all of it?
Well, Blaine is fine now.
But what happened there before?
I will.
We'll censor this a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know for their privacy that I'll share it.
Okay.
I told you because you're living in it, but we're talking about other people's lives.
Got it.
And especially for the wife, I definitely don't want to out her.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Not intentionally. I try to respect privacy.
That's
No,
okay.
I know.
That's
I know.
okay.
But what I can say is that lots of trauma, lots of mental illness, physical illness, messing with things that they should not have. So the 2 symbols in the basement were a Nazi symbol and
Yeah,
a demonic symbol.
I figured so much.
So, and it was just someone being stupid. Because then
Right.
my first question is, are they, you know, certain kind of worshipers that we need to, like, had that been the case, I would have told you to run. Because it's notorious that you can't close things down if there's a ritualistic manner to it.
Oh.
So then I'm like, okay, what is this? And then it's just people being stupid and whatever else they were doing in the basement, which I don't know if you can share that or not, but since you called the police, I wasn't gonna.
Well, they had a kitchen on the first floor, and then they also had a kitchen in the basement.
Boy.
We'll phrase it that
yeah,
way.
that was eloquent.
Yeah.
So because it was just someone being stupid, that's a get those off. That I think will help. I'll go down, do another clearing, and it will be fine. But the last time I was there, it felt really good.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. And you're not done with it yet. Once it's done, you're going to come in and you said put crystals.
Yeah, do a crystal grid. So there's
And these are other things you can do for any homeowner. So anybody that's listening that is interested in this, like this is what you're going to do at my house. I think we're still going to get you into the other rental that you walk through with your students.
Oh, Franklin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this, but I'm
But-
good with that.
Yeah, it can happen to any homeowner. So if you're interested, this is something that I've been interested in as well.
And crystal grids are easy. So the one that I use in my home and that I'll be doing in your home and that I do in most homes, you get a small black tourmaline crystal. Size does not matter in this case, and honestly, smaller is better here. And then you get a clear quartz point, and you put them in the 4 corners of the home. So the black tourmaline goes into the corner, and the clear quartz the point goes towards it. And what that does is it slowly removes any negative energy, heavy energy from the house, but then prevents more from coming in. So it's a really great maintenance.
Yeah. Does that need, speaking of maintenance, does that need maintenance, or is that like
You do
set
have
it
to
in-
clear the black tourmaline.
Okay.
Clear quartz does not need clearing. So when I say clearing, it's using sage or Palo Santo, but you should really be doing that anyway.
And I did have a question. You're bringing up all these words. And I'm like, oh yeah, I had a question for Bobbi on this. Sage essential oil, work or not work? Do you need the natural burning sage?
I am torn about essential oils because they're very commercialized now.
Yeah.
The energy that goes into them when they're produced can sometimes be questionable. And
I didn't even think about that.
I have not. Most people don't. It's the same thing with the meat that you eat or the produce that you eat. You have to think about what energy has touched it. But anyway, I haven't found an essential oil company that I believe takes enough precaution to make it worth it to use an essential oil over, say, getting a stick of Palo Santo, which is going to be cheaper, and just burning it.
Okay. Interesting.
But there are those that disagree with me. I am just one opinion.
No. I actually just saw on Netflix there was a essential oil documentary talking about it. I haven't watched it. But
It will likely talk about what I was just talking about. Not the energy-wise, but it's so commercialized.
Yeah,
that
and
it's
that's
gonna
basically what
cause-
the intro was telling me.
Yeah, it's not good.
It couldn't take me away from Ozark, which is the thing I'm trying to watch now.
I tried to watch that, and I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I'm like 5 episodes.
I'd rather
in.
read.
Yeah.
Nerd.
I just like trashy TV. It's awful. My husband gets so mad at me.
Bachelorette.
Yeah,
Masked
for
Singer.
sure.
Oh, okay, but Masked Singer I like.
No, I like 90 Day Fiance.
I can't. I
So
can't.
So
bad.
realistic.
It's so bad. I can blame myself. It's awful.
So going back into your business, out of the fields that you have, or the 3 little facets that you offer, do you prefer one or?
No, it's a loaded question.
I know.
Well, we just redid my whole business because of this question. That's why it's a loaded question. It's in flux. So I love everything that I do. The thing that lights my passion is teaching. And that would have been a different answer last year. But right now, I so love getting a group of people together to teach them this stuff that's what I want to do all the time. And I don't get to do retreats this year. So it's been a bunch of virtual events, and I think, teaching is probably where I'm going. God,
Okay.
I know I'm quoted too. Damn. Oh, darn. Sorry.
We'll edit that.
Sorry.
Or maybe not. We'll see. I figured,
So good.
I get to do all the editing, so this is gonna be something.
and I did figure that was going to be your answer on it. I know mainly because we've talked before. And I think it was brought up because of going back to the earlier in the show where you've got your 2 jobs. Like the job that I had before I started my business was working within schools, fundraising. So I was able to, one, feel like a coach again, which I love being a coach. I'd work with the administrators and I was helping. And like, that is what I love to do. So when I couldn't do that anymore and keep going with what I was going, I think we had talked in length about that aspect of, it wasn't really, I didn't do that for me because I could have gone and got a different job that
Right.
I didn't really enjoy, but paid more, or I had better hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed it so much because I was in that coach mode. And that is what I like to do. I still like doing it, which is why when we hire staff on, I don't care what experience you have, because either I can teach you or Barry can teach you or one of the other guys in the crew can teach you, because that's what it's about in my world.
Well, and I'm the same way with my team. It doesn't matter really to me what experience you have. If you've got good juju and you're willing to learn, that's what I want.
Right.
So I get that.
And that's the perspective. Or you can get somebody like Natasha where you're just like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z done. Can you please just do it? And then she takes it and runs with it. And I think that's awesome.
That's Ashley in my life. Yeah.
Oh, your assistant? I met her once. Yeah,
Yes, you did. She's like literally the person that I get to say, I really don't like. Okay, so printing manuals, bane of my existence. And a certain individual at a certain printing store really doesn't like me. Like, I thought I was getting punked the day that I went, because it was so bad. She was literally, your job is stupid. As she's printing the manuals, I'm like, what is happening? And I'm texting Ashley, or maybe it was Jen. I'm like, I think I'm getting punked right now. Like, this can't be real life. And then she went on, like, she didn't like my jacket. I believe her exact words were, I knew I wasn't going to like you the second I saw that jacket.
Oh my goodness.
It's a black coat.
Wow.
Anyway, so I'm like, Ashley, I don't really want to print anything. Here, please do. I love that.
That's awesome.
So thank God for the use of the world.
Thank you.
Right? No, it's so helpful. Like setting all this up and making it that I can show up 5 minutes late in a panic. This is absolutely great. So,
Well, I love doing it. So
no, I appreciate that.
it's that.
So the one other thing that I just wanted to touch on was, we kind of talked about Blaine. I always like the nitty gritty. Let's get into like worst case scenario. What have you seen? We already talked about Blaine, but I know that can't be the worst.
I don't know if you guys want to hear the worst.
I do.
We do need to censor it. We need to be aware of the people. But was there a worst situation with Blaine? And can you give us whatever details you can give us?
Oh, 100. Blaine is not the worst. It's people being stupid at Blaine. The worst of the worst is when you're, that heavier, darker energy, when it's that, like 100%. And I don't even know how to tell the story with censoring it, though. So very early on in my career, when I was very cocky and I thought I could do anything and nothing could hurt or bother me, I got called for an attic that was having some issues that they also believed contributed to their dog falling ill. So anytime an animal is impacted or a child, like, first of all, it's a non-negotiable for me because those are innocents.
Right.
But two, that usually means there's something malicious going on for me. And so I went up into the attic, and at the time I was wearing like I guess you could call it an amulet, things that I felt were protective. Mm-hmm. And I got up into the attic, and I was afraid. And so that cockiness went away like immediately. But now I'm sitting here and I have to deal with this thing that is freaking me out. I'm censoring here. And the climbing on the walls, and like that was the first time I saw that. I'm like, what is this? And what do I do? Am I safe? Well, it came at me head on, and I ended up having 3 scratches on my neck. And I had no idea it happened. And I have goosebumps remembering this right now.
Oh my goodness.
I just got them.
And I had no idea that had happened. I just knew that I felt like something did something to me, but I didn't realize it was physical and you could see it. So I walked down the stairs, and my brother had actually been with me at the time. And he's like, Bobbi, what happened to your neck? And the lines came right where my necklace was. So we assumed it was trying to get the necklace off. But it was bleeding. I had marks for about a week. And that,
you okay?
Oh my God.
That event, I did not work for 3 months because I'm like, I know what's out there now. And that's not even like the worst that I've heard, but it's the worst that I experienced at that time. And I had to pause because I'm like, if I'm going to be in this work, I need to know that this is out there and it's possible.
Were you able to remedy the situation?
Oh, yeah. But it took me like 6 months to get the guts to do it again.
Oh my God.
But I'm not one like, I don't like being afraid of anything. So like, I knew I had to do it again. But B, I wanted to help the house and the family.
Did you figure out what
I didn't ask questions. I said, you're just GTFO. Can I abbreviate?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Because if there are kids listening, I don't think they know what that means.
Fantastic.
I think we're clear.
I'm really impressed with myself with the ad-libbing and not swearing.
Good job.
We just have to come up with the whole big script of like acronyms.
Yes.
And then give them to the guests.
I like it.
Say if you're going to swear, you have to use one of these acronyms.
Yes,
That's
I like
it.
that.
I'll
create
come
one.
up with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Natasha. I was going to give that to you after the show. Brought up a good point and a good question in my head. I don't know if it's a good point. It's a question in my head.
Noted.
Can animals read energy better than humans?
100%.
And do you think that it's because like humans have so much other stimulus going on that we just don't get to the point where we can read it?
That is...
I'm not saying that dogs don't have stimulus, by the way. I'm not dissing dogs here.
We can do exactly what animals do. The issue is that we're in a society that says we can't. And, what I do is considered woo-woo and new age and not something that we're biologically and organically capable of. And so it's become truth to some level for society to say that's either not true or really, really rare when everyone has the ability to do it. Animals don't have that. They live so much in the present moment that, they don't get conditioning or triggers or whatever outside of severe trauma that, they read energy. My 3 dogs are my energy readers for my house because I don't want to be on all the time. Like,
right.
And, the number of times I walk into somewhere, Bobbi, read this place. It's like, I'm not on right now. But so my 3 dogs, my oldest one, the one I was telling you about, he's only going to react to energy if it's bad. So, another story if you guys want to hear
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
So my husband, he had to get used to being with me and the work that I do and the stuff that happens and comes home. So this was still in his learning curve period. He had taken the dogs for a walk, and he actually saw something out of the corner of his eye, which you hear a lot from people.
Mm-hmm.
And he came, and he felt like something was following him or watching him. And he came into the house anyway, which he got an earful from me. Because if that ever happens, like, clear yourself before you get into the house, really? Well, we were sleeping then, and this is before I had boundaries on you don't wake me up, you don't come into the bathroom, you don't come into my bedroom. I've had experiences to iterate that fact. So I was sleeping, I was having a night terror, and this woman was in it. And I woke up, and she was at the end of my bed, staring at me. And again, I get goosebumps thinking about it. And Cooper woke up, the older dog, and he starts growling at her.
Oh my
And then, okay, well, she's not here for good purposes. So I was doing what I needed to do to get her out of the house, but because I was sleepy, the best I could do is get her to the living room. So now Cooper's out in the living room. He's growling. Travis is all, what's happening? He's groggy. And I'm like, why did you not clear yourself? And let me go clear this. But at the end of the day, she wasn't malicious. She was attached to the history of where we lived at the time, which is really cool because Travis is very analytical. Mm-hmm. So, he researches everything that I bring up and talk about and then validates it. So that was really cool. But why did I tell this story?
We were talking, animals.
Oh, yes. So Cooper will alert me to that. We won't get into it unless, of course, you guys want to. Aliens are another one that he will react to. I have a hard line with that kind of energy, though. It creeps me out to this day.
Why?
They have their own agenda. I don't like working with things that I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. There's so many cool stories I could tell you, though.
I just listened to a podcast. And this guy had worked at like Area 51 and he came out. I think we all know the name. I don't know if I can say it or not. I'm sure it's public.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar
Okay.
worked at Area 51 and he like kind of went out and then like just once he came out was a tell-all. He was a rocket propulsion specialist working to try and figure out how these UFOs that they have work. And obviously he signed all these non-disclosures, all this when he started working there. And then something happened in his life where he got released from the job and then he was like, I'm going to go out and tell it all. And like just terrible things started happening in his life, whether you believe it or not, whatever. What I found fascinating was like how he was describing how these things work. And we didn't find these things because they fell from the sky. Like some of them that he was seeing were excavated out. Like paleontologists were digging underground and found these saucers.
So fascinating.
So like they've been around.
Well, and what's happening in Antarctica right now is fascinating to me. Yeah, there's a bunch.
We just had a like all over the internet. If you Google UFO in Philadelphia, there's like hundreds of videos of people in Philadelphia for 5 minutes with the UFO just hovering over.
I'm going to be sucked in for the rest of the day.
Oh, God.
This is like just
clear
going
yourself
out the
afterwards.
wormhole.
Yeah. But it is. Like they're here for something. What is it? No one knows yet. And it was just like 3 months ago, the government just was like, yeah, UFOs are real. And there was no news on it.
I didn't hear
which is
this.
fascinating.
And it went away.
Which is fascinating. How we just let that go and we're like, yeah, okay.
And there are people who I work with who believe that they're aliens. I don't know how much I believe that, but what's interesting is that they feel very different to me when I assess their energy. And I was so skeptical. The first person that said that to me, I'm like, you crazy. And then I assessed their energy and it was different than any other human that I had treated. Now, does that mean they're an alien? No. But I thought it was interesting. And yeah, I've worked and had enough experiences that and there's things that, the downside of what I can read, what I've learned to read, meaning the energy of the world, is I generally know the truth of what's happening underneath things, like what the media will say or what people tell me. Like I'm always listening to energy, much less I'm listening to the words that are coming out of someone's mouth, which
I always say it's not what you say, it's how you're saying it.
Yes.
Like you can tell me a sentence and I'll understand the sentence, but you're phrasing it in a way that's telling me what's going on in your head.
Yes.
So you're using the specific words that you're using for a reason.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of the energy aspect of the world.
Yep. And that's what you're doing when you say that. You know, you are essentially reading the energy.
Yeah.
And
I'm a pro at this already.
everyone's a pro at it. And it's the truth, though. You laugh, but it's true. Everyone is reading energy in the way that they can, but it's so second nature to you that you probably don't know you're doing it. Which we
That
can
could
get
be
into.
true.
It is true.
I'm excited, and I've told you this from like day 1 or 2 of meeting you. Like, I'm getting in your academy. I'm applying already. I've been declined like 3 times.
Well, it's because you stand symbols into the wall.
It's true. No, like I am enjoying this because I want to read it. Because what I struggle with, like I know it's real, and I know like how I think of the world is just a big mash of energy bouncing off and playing with each other. But there's an aspect of just realism with me where like,
Well, we're still human living a
like
human
the
life.
lights flicker and they're like, okay, that's a ghost. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that could have just been like a hiccup in the service, or like a door slams in the house. But like, yeah, but the window's open. That could have been just like a type of vacuum thing that shut the door. So like my mind always goes like, okay, there's gotta be a physical like answer to what is going on. But I also in the same vein will say like, yep, there is other stuff. There's energy.
When you
that's
move
doing
into
this.
Blaine, I'm going to sleep on your couch for a week.
Okay.
And you see everything that happens.
We'll have a guest room. You can sleep in the
Oh,
guest
great.
room.
There'll at least be a bed.
Yeah.
That's helpful. And then you can see all the things
You
that
gotta
will
bring Cooper
happen.
too.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Cool.
I'll bring my old man, the toothless wonder. He has no upper teeth anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Doodles are really bad with their teeth. Anyway, that was Travis's mindset, actually, when we first got together and I moved in.
I
You know.
thought you were talking about your husband at first, and I was like,
No. Travis has all his teeth.
I can
now.
confirm he does have all his
Oh my
teeth.
God, that's so funny.
And he was really skeptical. He did not believe in this world. But he got a tarot reading from me, and that's when he started believing. Because he's like, "How did you know all this?" It was really cool to see his facial. He went
Which I'm
from
bummed you don't do tarot readings anymore. I was waiting to get one done.
once in a while I open up windows to say you can book a reading. When that happens next, I'll tell you.
There it is. Let me know. I'm in.
But then, I moved in with him and all these things started happening. And that was his initial mindset was, well, it could have been this and it could have been this. And then eventually the experiences came where it's like, that just moved right in front of me. No windows are open. This is real. So.
And that's that's the line that's so gray for me where I don't know. All right, can I make an explanation for this, or is that just
Well,
what
and
it
to
is?
be fair, you could go looking for things too. And that
Correct.
doesn't mean they're accurate. So my general rule of thumb is see everything and see nothing. So don't go looking for something to happen, but be open and receptive to what's going on around you.
What's the phrase with horses and zebras? Something, I don't know. Like, don't look for zebras if it could be
Right.
a horse or
Yes,
something.
that's accurate.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that whole gray area fascinates me, which is what I want to learn,
I got you.
so I can.
When you're ready.
I don't
know
think
where
I'll
to find me.
close the gray area, but completely. I'll just shrink it.
I think you're going to go into a whole new area where colors don't exist.
That's the other thing. I know I talked about this on day one because I think I was 21 or 22. I think I was driving for Uber or something like that.
You were probably the coolest Uber driver.
Some days, if I was having bad days, I was just like, get in, where do you gotta go? But other times it was fun, and I was like, hey, let's have a party on wheels. So I guess I was a pretty cool Uber driver. My rating was 5.
Well,
That's all I can say.
congratulations.
That's
I actually
a
have
life accomplishment.
I have a placard in my room.
Stop.
But I don't.
Stop
I
it.
don't.
Okay. Wow. I
I made it myself. Uber didn't give it to me. I just made it.
I was going to believe that too.
I know, right?
I don't know what that says about what we think of you. That you would have that in your bedroom.
It's reasonable
Yeah,
for my personality. I
for
would
sure.
think.
Oh, absolutely.
Where was I going with the Uber thing? Oh, so I was driving
You
someone.
were 21 or 22 with a
Colors.
party on
21,
wheels.
22, driving somebody somewhere downtown Milwaukee. So I was living in Milwaukee at the time, and she was talking to her husband or boyfriend or friend at the time, and I think she said, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. She's purple." And I like turned
Like
around. I
a
was like,
purple aura kind
"Yeah."
of
I was
thing?
like,
Yeah.
"Hold on, what?" And she's like, "Oh, what?" And I was like, "You said she's purple? Like, what is what does that even mean? She's
You've
like, oh,
given me that face.
did I say that out loud? And I was like, you definitely said that out loud, and now you need to explain what's
And now
going
I have
on.
questions.
And then she went into the whole aura thing, and then I ended up dropping her off, and I was like, crap, I had 20 other questions to ask that. So I was like, okay, can you read auras? Because I need to learn how to do this, where you can see somebody's actual like frequency coming out in colors.
And everyone
Fascinates me.
Everyone can experience that and translate that in some capacity.
And I've asked her what my aura is, or my color, every time, and she will not tell me. It's frustrating. Talk about cliffhanger.
I'll tell you anytime.
That wraps up the podcast for the day. One of these days you're going to slip, and you're actually going to tell me what my color is. I'm guessing blue. I don't know if that's good or bad. But
Where
blue.
does that come from?
I just like blue.
Huh.
Blue to me seems calm.
You're
Blue is not
calm.
like the best of aura colors, though.
All right, then I'm thinking green.
You're really not a green.
Well, you eliminated
I'm
that
just
one.
going to go through all the colors. Purple. Although I don't want to be purple because that lady in the back seat did not think purple was good. Or maybe just because purple didn't mesh with her color.
I'm a purple, so I've got issues with this lady.
Uh-oh. Snap.
I'll look back in my Uber history and you can track her down.
There is a online assessment not made by me where you can test for your aura colors.
How factual is that, though?
I use it on all my students.
Really?
It's not permanent. You're not one color all the time, but there are ways to look at what behaviors you have and mindsets that you have, which will tell you which colors you gravitate towards more.
I'm sure my colors have changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to be, my nickname was Hurricane Tots. Like, so I was all over the place, going all the time. And now I'm like, just relaxed.
Yeah,
Blue.
you're like a very typical green. I'm not reading your aura, but I would imagine that you're probably a green or yellow, or a mixture thereof.
Okay.
that's
Are you
fun.
feeling really left out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to move on to the next topic. And I was just going to say, like, I talk you up to everybody that I meet.
No,
Like,
you're
you
not gonna
need
talk
to
to
talk to
nobody.
Bobbi. I'm not going to talk to anybody now. But no,
I'm going to
I'll-
leave Blaine as is.
All right, I'll continue to talk you up, whatever. So I talked to everybody. I'm like, hey, you have to meet Bobbi. She's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And there are a couple people that are like, I don't want to. I'm like, why don't you want to? And like, well, what if she tells me that like this is wrong with me,
Or that I'm going to die.
yeah, or like tells me that I'm a bad person or I have bad energy. And I explain it, and I could be wrong, but I always tell them like
Probably not.
energy is always changing. So you could be a blue today or a purple in a year and all this stuff, but it's not like the decisions you make you bad energy. It's how are you interacting with the world? Are you giving off the good energy? Are you taking in the good energy? Because that's what is going to make up your aura. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have, and this is a can of worms, but I have a fundamental belief in oneness. So, and I didn't always. That's something that, and it will continue to change because I think you're always a learner, and you should be a learn, whatever, my English.
Be learned.
So,
Always be learning.
yeah, see,
Yeah.
you say it's much nicer than I
I
do.
just try.
Because she's a blue, green, yellow.
You're all the colors. You're just rainbow unicorn over here.
Those colors are good with words.
Do you know this for a fact?
No.
Like the
Absolutely
stuff that comes
not.
out of your mouth, and I go, but how does he know that?
Say it so confidently, people just believe it.
But you're not wrong. Like that's
Oh, really?
the kicker. Greens are really great with words.
Awesome.
I mean, she is in marketing, so that would make sense. She's got to be good with words if she's putting it out there.
I can't
You
wait
know?
to start teaching you the things. Where was I going with this? Stop distracting me.
Energy being different, people can read and they can change over
Oh, yeah.
time.
No, we weren't talking about that though.
Learning.
Oneness. That's what we were
Yes.
talking about. Thank you. The learning. When you eloquently restated what I said. From what I see of energy and the people that I work with, which are all over the spectrum and every kind of student, I feel a same energy in everyone to some capacity. And I've noticed that same energy, that oneness energy, the more that someone is embodying that, the happier, more joyful, more fulfilled they are. The less that I can feel that in them, the more suffering that they're in. So I have a fundamental belief that our essence is all, for labels, good. But depending on how you go throughout your human experience and the decisions that you make, it gets dampened more and more and more, or gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But you never lose it. So, you know, and that brings up, can people change? And, you know, some people say, no, people can't change.
Right.
And I was that person too.
Yeah.
But if I hold on to that belief, that doesn't match. So this is where the exploration always comes in.
It's been interesting. I love learning about this, but it is interesting how people can change, because I'm dealing with that right now currently too. It's just like
most people do at some point.
You have to relearn your steps or your processes.
Yep. And it is doable. I see it in my healers programs. But, you know, that's 3 or 6 month containers of intensive healing work and recoding work and changing your biology to create something different. And it's why people love it, but it's intense. So like, it's not rainbows and unicorns. Let's learn some Reiki and do some energy stuff. It's like, we're getting into your dark and twisty. And
as I call it, the Nick Miller box.
Yes. He said that to me the first time I met him, and I'm like, that is perfect.
Any New Girl fans will understand the Nick Miller box.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's
Nick
perfect.
Miller is the character on the show. Anything he does not want to deal with, he puts in this brown box and shoves in his closet. And then
right.
it doesn't exist because it's in the box. It's in his box.
And my mom calls that shoving it into your big toe. You
that's
shove
funny.
things into your big toe.
Yeah.
Both are accurate. But we're working on your Nick Miller box.
We are every day.
I have a big Nick Miller box that's like massive.
Yeah. So like the first time we, I think, talked, or it was the first Reiki session, we talked about like my past experiences, the good and the bads, and what I've put in the Nick Miller box, because at the time that I was in, I couldn't emotionally handle going through them. To keep going with my day, to put on my face,
That's legit.
to just go out and do it, I just didn't have the capacity. I had so much other stuff going on, and the only way for me to go through it, and Bobbi battles with me every day to, like, my mind and my
Lovingly.
yeah, oh, absolutely, it's all in good faith. My mind and my heart are just completely different people, and it's a day to day of how I'm going to listen to both and make them both play nice together.
Literally, I feel like I talked to 2 different versions of Marcus. And that was my struggle when I first met him. Like, I don't trust that in a person who can separate so much, but he also has a really great heart. So for me, you know, when he's in his head, it's this Marcus. But when he's in his heart, it's, this Marcus is fantastic. So it's mixing the two.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it was solely because, like, all of that stuff was in the Nick Miller box. I'm going to deal with it eventually.
You do have a really good mind too, just for the record. Just don't be all there all the time.
Yeah, it's always balance. Everything's balance.
Everything is balance.
I don't know how we got on the Nick Miller box. Sorry about that.
No.
I
But
like it.
you make a good point. Like, especially, and this is totally not related to anything we're talking, well, right now, but the idea that we have to force ourselves to process things and force ourselves to get through things doesn't work. Because even in the act of forcing, you're shoving something into a big toe. That's bad. Let me get rid of it. And I actually just talked to my community about this, that all of last year, and no one had any idea, which I was thankful for, because I still have to show up for my people, but I was doing PTSD treatment all last year. And that was there for 3 years before I said, okay, I can do this. And it was still hard, but there's no way I could have done that 3 years prior. So you always have to know what step you are ready for.
I feel you on that one.
And I think more people need to know that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, it's just whether or not you can accept where you are in your life at that point.
Yeah. And there's so much shame in the spiritual community of, well, if you're not perfect, you clearly aren't spiritual, or you're clearly not energetic. And so I was waiting for the time to tell my community where I was after it, and I could say, look, it still works, and you guys still think I'm a teacher or a mentor. And yeah, it was awesome.
Good.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know that whole segment was not related to real estate.
wasn't.
Which was okay, but we can all tie it in.
Yeah.
You guys
I mean,
tie
it
in whatever
starts-
you want. I
it
can just
starts
keep
from
telling
the
stories.
people, and if you feel like you need some energy help, it will not only help you, but it will help your home.
So,
it will help your family.
The tie-in here
Yeah.
is you just heard from 3 people who are dealing with crap, right?
Yep. Every day.
If those people live in the house that you're going to buy, all of that juju is going into the house. And then you have the potential then to soak up that juju and live what they were living. The whole point is you need to clear your house is so that doesn't happen to you. That's how you tie it all in.
Yeah. And I've been brainstorming on the agent side. Like, okay, we've got a closing. You just bought your new house. Here's your basically move-in packet. Here's all the things in terms of like the legal closing that you need. but here's also Bobbi's number. Give her a call. She's going to clear the house for you so you can move in. So like that's something that you're hearing it first. That is something that like I wanted to add in to like as an extra bonus for clients that are either moving or selling or anything like that.
And I use it for my students because there's no better way to learn than throwing them in a situation. Like the Franklin house was a great learning situation. It was not a Blaine situation.
Yep.
And that was one where students went in the first time. You know, they identified where the bedroom was, what was happening in the bedroom, the areas that this guy was pacing. And like, that was a fun house They
were on
read.
with that one too, because I met that family.
And there's a really long obituary that we were able to find later that gave like the whole history of the family.
Oh, really? Cool. I didn't even know that.
I sent it to you.
You did? I'll have to email?
I sent you a link.
Okay. I'll go back and look at that one.
While you're at it, I still need your top 5 favorite books.
I thought I sent you that.
You didn't.
Man, I got some homework. Writing notes.
Oh my goodness.
I know. This is bad. My admin stuff is...
Really, I'm just a big nerd and I'm always looking for good books. That's really the motivation.
That's a topic that we should add at the end. What's the last book that you really enjoyed reading?
Well, I get to ask my favorite question.
That is right. We're not going to leave that one out. But to tie in just one last thing, because you were talking about how like you are buying a house, the people that are living in the house, they're going to deal with shit. This is the real world. You're going to be dealing with shit. And I just noticed I'm swearing, so we'll edit that out. Stuff. Miles, don't listen to this.
Or any other child.
So they can go in, you can come in, clear the house so that it's fresh, starting new for them. For the people that are living in their homes, even if it's not like, okay, I think that there's a bad energy here or something, there's preventative things that you can offer to come in and do. So
at that point, it's not even preventative. It's about increasing the vibration of the home so that life gets better. Can I talk about one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Your aura, if you're talking spirituality, or biologically your vibrational fields, you're constantly sponging up energy. So we're transferring energy right now, which is how you can usually decide if you like someone or you don't within, a few minutes of talking.
I like you.
I'm a big fan of you too.
Marcus, you're okay.
Yeah, it's because I'm a brown.
That does exist.
I know. I said it to gauge your reaction. To either say like, yeah, you're brown, or no, you're not. Just stone face. Can't even read it.
I didn't know it was stressing you this much. Maybe
just
we can
curious,
sit down and talk about your colors.
Absolutely.
Okay. If I had known it was stressing you.
It's not a stressor. I'm just always curious. The ongoing running joke.
So because of that, you're also exchanging energy in the room that you're in, with your car, depending how big someone's aura is or how small it is. You're always exchanging energy. So if you're in a home and there's nothing going on, there's nothing for me to clear, well, now we're talking about raising the vibration so that when you're sitting in it, you're getting good juju. That's only going to do good things for your life. So we're really talking about the problem side of things. There's a whole other side of let's help your life get better and more aligned and more joyful, and do this side of it too.
And like what I always tell people that I talk to you about, like you should go talk to Bobbi. This is her contact information, which you're going to leave at the end of the show so everybody can get in contact with you.
Better find my assistant's new number.
Look that up right now. I always tell them, okay, even if if you're one of the people that is so skeptical, don't believe that this is a thing, what is it going to hurt? So like if you go talk to her and nothing comes out of it, you're in the same position. You just had a great conversation with a great person.
I was granola-y before I met her, and I was skeptical, but I was like excited to learn about this today. Holy cow, I am floored.
Honestly, most people are super nervous about talking to me. That's not uncommon.
I was so excited. Knowing my background, when she inquired about the space at the office building, and she was like, I'm looking for yada yada. I looked up your company and I was like, I cannot wait. I think it was like Thursday or something. It was a Monday when you reached out. It's like, I cannot wait to talk to her. And we walked through like 4 or 5 different spaces of the place. And normally showings are like 20 minutes. I think ours was like an hour. Because we just kept like talking within it.
And in case you viewers are wondering, Marcus is sitting here like a kid in a candy shop. Like he's so excited.
I didn't even realize I was doing that. I'm like totally leaning into the microphone, listening intently.
Exactly.
Where were we going with that?
The not just like rehabbing the energy of a house,
yes.
but you can be more.
And that's what, ultimately I can teach people how to do as well. Like my ultimate goal is that people don't need a practitioner to come in to make the juju good in the house, that I can teach you how to do it. So it's a whole world of awesome that I could literally talk for 4 hours about and give you so many more case studies. And
Oh my gosh. I would eat those up.
Yeah. Which is why I'm excited for my life to slow down. Well, for me to slow my life down, I'll say it that way.
Good job.
Working on it every day.
I'm impressed.
So when I slow my life down to be able to take on more tasks, first thing I'm going into is that, to learn how to do it. So it's fascinating. It is. I'm going to let you ask your favorite question.
Yay.
And I actually don't know the answer to this one, so I'm actually intrigued.
There's something you don't know about me? Wow.
So, are you or have you done any home improvement projects that you are incredibly proud of?
DIYs.
DIY.
Oh my God, I love all the things.
And there has to be something, because I do know that you recently moved.
Yeah, but we haven't started working on our new house yet. Mostly because my idea of what I want to do to that house is I want to put on an addition.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that's going to be like $200,000. Let's not do that.
Yeah, we would love to put an addition on our house too.
We have this gorgeous house, right? But it has 1 full bathroom, but 4 bedrooms. And I'm like, I want a master closet, and I want to put on another master bathroom, and I want to combine the laundry room and the bathroom downstairs. This is what my brain is doing.
Oh, for sure. Mine goes a million miles
Right.
a minute when it comes to home projects.
And I want to do stuff to the exterior, because right now it's very 70s, 80s, whenever that was in style. I'm like, oh, what can I do to the brick? Like, this is how my brain works.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't wait for you to walk through Menominee Falls.
I'm so curious about that house. So I grew up in Menominee
Oh,
Falls,
fun.
and I hated that place.
Which was super funny. We just purchased a new property in Menominee Falls, and I get a random text from Bobbi.
Well, not that random once you know who
I
was
guess,
with.
yeah. It wasn't that random. I didn't know you were over there that day. That's why I didn't know. So she had texted me, can you send me a picture of the house? And I was like, does she know like where I'm at all times?
No.
But she gave me the background of how she knew I was at the new property. And I texted her, and she's like, I know exactly what house that is. And I think you said something about it gave you the...
It's got weird energy.
Always got to pick up the properties with weird energy.
It's always been that house that I've looked at, and I'm like, I don't want to go in there. But now I'm curious.
Now you have
that's
to.
my work. Yeah.
Yep.
Now I want to. But growing up, that's like scary things happening in that house.
Yeah.
That's
It doesn't give me the vibe that Blaine does, by the way, on the inside. It's outdated, yes. That's one thing. There's boxes everywhere.
But
that's one thing.
that whole segment of Menominee Falls, that whole area, is the energy's a little wonky. And I think it's because it's next to a major road.
Yeah.
But Menominee Falls has changed so much since I've been there. I'll be curious to go.
Yeah. It's not that bad. But we can't skirt the DIY question.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you for redirecting me. I think it was a bathroom that I can I say this now legally? I redid a bathroom in an apartment. I will not talk about which apartment it was, but the paint was peeling on it.
Oh.
So I'm like, I might as well just redo everything. So I put some tiling in. I did some painting. I really messed up the grout. Like grout, I'm not good. Nope.
It's touchy.
But it looked bomb.
Awesome.
And I didn't hear anything about it when I moved out.
If you want to do more tiling, I have a place that needs tiling.
Great, as long as you will teach me how to do it appropriately.
Yeah.
I did it well. It just took me like 6 months.
My
That's fine.
husband and I, we just tiled our bedroom closet. It was fun.
I really enjoy it. It's just the knowledge that I need. And that's what's stopping me with my house, because I'm like, there's a bunch of things I want to do, but they're all things I've never done before.
YouTube University. That is how we've learned to do everything.
But YouTube University, you guys, you're going to learn something new about me. My guilty pleasure is watching car detailing videos. Interior car detailing videos.
Really?
I have an obsession with car detailing. Guilty pleasure. I'm a Virgo, so I really like clean and organized.
Okay.
But the extractor and seeing the water getting pulled up, oh, it's so good.
Is that like your soothing, like wave music, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than like a really disaster car and then an extractor is getting all the gunk
The
out of it.
ocean waves.
It's so good. So anyway, yeah, my dad is now asking me to detail his car.
That's funny.
That'd
You
be
didn't
a
know
cool
that either
project.
about
I
me.
didn't.
I love
Working
it.
on cars.
Oh, not detailing.
Still, I guess working on cars. I didn't know you had an interest in it.
I didn't know either until like 6 months ago when I saw the first detailing video.
Oh my god.
This is like the oddly satisfying videos.
I also really like the sound of resin being pulled out of the silicone. It makes a crunching noise.
Yep.
I think that's amazing. This is my stress relief instead of guilty TV or whatever you said.
So if you end up working with Bobbi and you want to get her
Thank you,
gift,
trashy.
just get her a box of resin and you'll make her happy.
No, I'm in the need for drill brushes so that I can, instead of scrubbing the floor mats and getting everything agitated and up, it's just a drill brush.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
I went into Ace and she sent me to the metal disc things. I'm like, I know, like brush. Do those exist?
Go on Amazon.
Yes, it's on my Amazon list.
I love it.
Learning so much more about you right now.
Now the whole world knows about my guilty pleasures.
Happens.
Hilarious.
I have my favorite channels for car detailing that I check.
Oh my gosh.
This is literally, if I'm in bed and I'm still awake, it's probably because I'm watching car detailing.
If you ever have the urge to do a detailing on a car,
I always have an urge to do
my
it.
truck is my office and is constantly messy.
Bring it over.
So feel free.
You have no idea how much it excites me when I have something new to detail.
Oh my gosh. I can't even.
Anyway, so my favorite DIY was tiling and regrouting and painting. And there's nothing I could do with the shower at that point because it was one of those plastic. But everything else was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So then that's the list of things also I have to do in the house. Although I talked to you about the landing on our stairs. They half donkeyed the landing, so I have to restain it. And I've never stained wood before.
Oh, that's easy.
I've heard it's easy. I just have to actually sit down and watch how to do it.
Just make the time for it, I guess.
And the cracks in my wall.
Yep.
I have to figure out how to fix those. And
You don't like my beautiful cracks?
I think they're amazing. It's only the one that's we have a semi-open concept, so dining room, living area, kitchen. It's right where there's a wall. And I don't, it just bothers me. My perfectionist is coming out.
Got it. I totally understand.
I gotta get it fixed.
Your perfectionism, you gotta get that fixed.
I'm a recovering perfectionist.
But it's not all bad. I was
Says
just
a
talking,
perfectionist?
and I don't think it's bad.
But are you a perfectionist? Because you're speaking like a true perfectionist.
On some things, yes. On a lot of other things, no.
Interesting.
But it comes in waves. And a lot of it has to do with trust. I trust Natasha. Can you do this? I give her basically no guidelines, and she just does it. And I'm going to trust that she knows what she's doing. She's going to do it. On other things that I feel like are not going to be done correctly, then yes, I have to hold hands and make sure it's done. But I can pull back and not be if I don't.
I'm really
feel the need
struggling
to.
not to put my mentor hat on with you right now and process everything you just said. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just letting you know I'm taking notes for next time.
So I would say yes and no. But again, there's no absolutes. So
That's fair. I'm not going to challenge that.
I mean, once you have kids, you lose your perfectionism because it's just not going to be.
I don't know. I'm still a perfectionist.
I have furry children.
I always if you went into your son's room right now, do you know where every single toy is and on every single bin?
Oh my God, I threw away all of his toys. So
You are my hero.
I was mean, Mom. I got so frustrated with him one day. I threw away all of his toys.
All.
Actually, they're just out in the garage, but he doesn't ask for any of them. So
Yeah, mine's just okay, Miles, you have toys all over the floor. You need to pick them up. If you don't want to pick them up, that's fine. But if they're on the floor when you go to bed, they're going to be in the garbage in the morning. And
Do you say it like that too?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed.
And he's like, okay. And then they're all picked up. It's not done in 5 minutes, but it's done.
mean, Mom.
Happens.
I didn't want kids for the longest time. And now I do. And it's like, I hear stuff like that and I'm like, oh God, the mess.
Yep.
He thinks it's hilarious when I step on his toys
Oh, I
and
hate that.
basically crumble. I'm like, ah. And he just laughs. And I was like, this is not funny. This hurts.
I tripped on a dog bone coming down the stairs.
Oh.
Same thing.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I was just talking to somebody yesterday, like when you get a dog, because we're going to get a dog, mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese. When you get a dog, it's like raising a 3-year-old forever.
Uh-huh.
They leave stuff everywhere. Manners are hit or miss.
Finally cleaned up the dog toys today. They have a basket. They have a space where they're supposed to be. And as soon as I let Cosette out, she'll take every single toy out of there and play and leave it on the floor.
Well, Bernie will literally dig through it to get the one on the bottom.
Of course.
It's like it's literally the same kind of bone that was at the top. Really?
But this one tastes better, Mom.
Clearly, Bernie.
So if you have any, just for the listeners, if they have any...
Didn't you have a question? Your last question that you're like, this should be a question?
No, that was it. That was the
got
DIY
it.
question. My other last question is always like, tell me about the worst situation or the worst struggle or something that's bad. Which I think you've given a great answer because the ones before were all financial ones.
Yes.
So when you're doing the financials, you can't say like, okay, my client Chris did this. That's just not going to work.
Right.
So it's always very censored and I don't know. I wouldn't say boring, but it's like you lose some of the fun details of it. You do, and that just happens.
This is the most censored I've told my stories ever, just for the record.
You did well.
Thank you. I'm really impressed with myself.
Yeah. I was just going to say for the audience, if you ever want an insight of how mine and Bobby's conversation go, we start on a topic of your business and how it can help real estate, and then we start talking about dog bones and kids, and it just all wraps into one.
And now you understand why it's 2 hours.
Right.
I can
so
see that happening for sure.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, how did we get here? That's just how our conversations go.
My students call that the Bobbi effect.
There's a label to it.
Yes, either Bobbi effect or bobbied.
That's when you know it happens a lot.
Also, when people cry, they'll say, oh, you've been bobbied.
Oh, boy. Now I'm scared.
Don't be. I never try to make people cry, but when you're going through dark and twisty, it happens.
You know, it's funny. My nickname's Twisty Tots.
Oh.
So
I like it.
So I just...
I'm taking notes for your session now, too.
Oh, boy. Oh, God. I'm scared. Mommy.
It's not scary, is it?
No.
Right.
No, I mean, it is like you get an emotional rush and you're bringing these things back that you've shoved way back there and bringing them out and like, hey, let's talk about them. And you're like, I don't want to. I know I'm going to, but I don't want to. But
and then I'm constantly, what's the feels?
Yeah.
What's the feels?
Yeah. And it helps me personally, and then it helps me with staff. It helps me with my son. It helps me with my parents and siblings. So I do it selfishly, but I know it's getting me in the right mindset to help other people.
Well, and as a business owner.
Will this give me more patience? Because my patience is sorely lacking.
That is a grounding issue. So, yes, we can help you on grounding.
I've got grounding tea if you need it.
Did you like it?
I did.
Oh, that makes me happy.
I did have a question. Temperature, what are we supposed to steep that at?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just as long as it's covered.
Covered 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you like
Natasha's tea? Like, what is going on?
I love tea.
Come into the fold and I'll teach you all the things.
I'm a big matcha drinker, but yeah, I like tea.
So the grounding tea has, I forgot the name of it now. There's a certain herb in it that I get from the herbalist here in Oconomowoc.
Dr. Bach?
No, the Herbal Key Apothecary. Oh. She gets a plug.
Right on Wisconsin Avenue?
Yep. And it brings all your energy down. So a grounding means that your energy is not going through your feet. It's scattered too much. So when you ground yourself, the energy will flow appropriately through your body, and you'll have much more patience, and you won't feel, I don't know if you feel scattered, but it will help with that if that's an issue.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that a yes, that resonates face on her?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't know her well enough yet.
No, it is.
And I'm trying really hard not to read your energies so that I can just talk to you guys.
You can read my energy. I'm super intrigued.
I remember when I called you for something, I think it was probably for Franklin, and I had mistakenly connected too much to you. And I'm like, ooh, I'm reading his brain right now. And you're like, Bobbi, don't do that.
Some things are just off limits.
I try not to.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The one thing, and when you were talking to Natasha about the tea, you said something that brought me back to the first Reiki session where I literally felt like my body was vibrating for the next like 2 days. Not like tremors, but it just felt, it was like somewhere between tremors and like your legs asleep.
Okay.
Where you get like the tingles. It was super cool.
And that's not uncommon at all for people to feel that way because your energy is increasing. And so your body always lags behind what your energy is doing because your body is denser. So for you, being in the place that you were in life and what was going on in your head, we're a relatively lower energy, which isn't bad. That's what happens when we're stressed or not sleeping or just not taking care of ourselves. That's no insult. We all get there.
Oh, absolutely.
So for you to go from here and then Reiki brought you up here, well, your body's literally going, what happened?
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
No, it was awesome. And you always followed up the day after of how you're feeling. And I've gotten into a bad habit of calling Bobbi when I'm at I'm looking into this pit I'm about to fall into. And I'm like, okay, I got to take a step back. I'm going to call Bobbi, emergency Reiki session. I go in. And then the next day, like, the stress is gone and I'm thinking clearly and things are processing like I feel like they should process in my head. Because I don't know if you know this, you two are around me a lot. Things get scattered in my head.
Yeah.
So
that would be affirmative.
Hence the grounding tea.
So the day after when things are actually clicking and I can process things quicker and how I feel like my head should be working, it's always been great.
And this is why you have to go to Sedona.
I know.
Next month.
Next year? I can't slow my life down that quick. As much as I would love to.
Yeah, see, I think everyone says that until you experience Sedona once, then you move heaven and earth to get there when you have an opportunity. Because you realize how much transformation happens in Sedona. And usually I take a group down there every year, but obviously I can't.
See, this would be a fun trip for the staff. Like once we get through these 2 major remodels.
Are you comfortable crying in front of your staff and talking about your dark and twisty?
Yeah, why not?
Because I'm going to put you through a medicine wheel.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Okay. I'm great with that idea. It's just as long as you're good with bringing out all your stuff in the middle of the medicine wheel.
Why not?
Okay. Deal. Are you coming too?
I mean, I don't really have a filter
Totally.
anyways. They ask me a question, I'll give them the answer.
Sure. I mean, my husband would love to go to Sedona to go golf. So I'll hang out
So
with you.
one of the vortex I was talking about is you have to know the secret way to get in because it's on a private golf course.
Oh
where
my
like
God.
Robert De Niro was and is, I don't know. But these are multi-million-dollar houses that you drive
Sure.
through to get up to Rachel's Knoll. The only spot that's open to the public, but they don't advertise it.
That's
So
crazy.
I'll take you to a vortex. You can go golfing.
I love it. It's a
I
win-win.
got you. See, everything is figure outable.
We're going next year.
I mean, you have record of me saying that we're going to go, so you have to hold
I
me to
know.
it.
Can you edit that so that he says October?
Next October? Got it.
Next month.
October 2021. We got it.
He's frustrating.
Not frustrating. It's the mentor dilemma of like, I know what's going on in someone's life and where they're at and where I know the solution is, where we're not talking about like, maybe it would help. It's like, that's as close to a magic pill to fix everything as you're going to get.
Period. End of sentence.
Right.
Go.
So I'll just keep poking.
Poke away. I'll eventually get there. Sooner than later.
I guess I'll take that. Baby steps.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
I need that on camera. So
That's going to be the intro video.
Yes. Love
the
it.
what you're talking about, the after effect of Reiki, so is the Reiki high, you know, that next day. But that's what my students would say, you've been bobbied.
Okay.
So that's what you can say to
No,
say now.
that was one thing that was like sticks out in my mind was like that in between tremors and my leg falling asleep, but it was my body falling asleep. And then the other one was like right after the Reiki session, she was like, okay, I feel like there was, I mean, she told me where I was blocked off and all that stuff. But then she said like,
What did you call them?
What is that?
What did you just call them?
I said I was blocked off.
Oh, I thought you said
my chakras were blocked.
Okay, I thought you said chakras weird. I'm like, how are we pronouncing chakras now?
No, I just said I was all blocked off, and I know that. But the other thing was she could feel like that my feet were cold, right? Which meant there was no energy transfer down there. But the thing that like stuck out was like, she's like, I felt pain in my left neck shoulder region. And that is where all of my stress.
Oh, I used to have a stress knot on this shoulder, but
you
now
can't tell her because now when she reads, she's going to know.
Oh, well, I mean.
Clearly, I cheat and I find out information ahead of time. Clearly.
My nose is always cold.
But
is there anything
this is the
for
cool
that?
part about energy. Like your body's going to tell you everything you need. Everything, all the time. When you're cold, there's energy being blocked there, which isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes you need to direct your energy to certain areas. But if it's chronic, for your feet, that's a grounding issue. And you might sometimes struggle with a scatterbrain and grounding issues. So that makes sense. But every area of your body is not only going to tell you where energy is flowing or not, it's going to inform you on your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being.
Because my husband makes fun of me and keeps telling me he's going to buy me a nose snood.
So nose... do you want me to analyze this?
Yes.
Okay, so your nose is governed by your throat chakra.
Okay.
It's one of your bigger chakras. And throat talks about your ability to speak your truth and to show up authentically the way that you want to without feeling like you're going to be judged and not caring if you're going to be judged. And in your relationships, feeling like you're understood and heard as who you are. And yeah.
That's so interesting. I love it.
It's a lot of fun.
My throat chakra was blocked.
Was it?
I think so.
I'd have to look
Or at
back
least it was like half. But I feel like I'm just you ask me a question, I'll give you my exact answer. I feel
So
like.
a blocked throat chakra doesn't mean that you don't talk. It means you're using your voice inappropriately. So that could be sharing too much. It could be not sharing enough.
That's my thing.
Right. So, or, if you're talking about someone, I'm not saying this is you, it's just an example. Yeah. People who rage and talk things or say things that later they regret, that's a throat chakra being blocked. So it's not always a lack of talking. It's that there's some misuse of how you're using your voice. But with this, it would make me guess that you go on the side of not feeling understood or not being able to use your voice like you want to.
I think that's very accurate. Yeah,
But
for sure.
Again, that's based on my knowledge of energy, not because I'm reading you. And that's why anyone can do it. Like once you know the correlations, you can help yourself with anything.
That's crazy.
There's your crash course in the throat chakra.
I love it.
Yeah. And I'm excited with my background of psychology and learning this, how I can tie the two together and how they all interplay.
And I work with a lot of psychologists, so.
Yeah. And I through college, it was my big dilemma, not really big dilemma, but I was picking, does my second major, is it sociology? My dad did sociology, so like we could bond on that. But I was like, it just falls just a little short. Like the study of people's movements, I get it, but like there's a deeper thing to it. And I was like, I have to go psychology. And then you go through psychology and you're like, okay, there's a whole nother level that gets even deeper. And I don't think there's an end because I think we're
always students.
It could be, I'm just throwing something out there. It could be in 200, 300 years from now or sooner that what we're doing now might be falling short of where we gather knowledge. And there's a whole nother field that opens up that goes even deeper. I don't know.
You're getting into a wormhole.
This is another podcast we're going to start, all three of us. It's not going to be a real estate one. It's just going to be us talking.
Okay, let's do it.
I think that sounds great.
We'll throw the plug in next show because we'll think of a snappy title and
For sure. Love
all
it.
that stuff.
Jen was just telling me how, like, I've done interviews before, but I don't actively pursue them. But people have been asking me to do a podcast for years. And I don't like editing. I
can edit.
I don't like setting stuff up. I love talking to people and talking. But the idea of having, I can't do it.
All right, coming soon, we're doing that podcast.
I love it.
So people can listen to the real estate one, and they can listen to us talk about life, and we can get into theories that I would love to ask on this podcast here, but I know we have to keep it relatable to the real estate side of it. But we could go into so many other things about energy and all that stuff. But what I wanted to do to bring you onto the show was talk about how your business can help people just within themselves, because I think everything is holistic. So if someone's listening to the show and they have questions, all I'm asking you to do is call Bobbi. I'm sure you'll talk to him over the phone.
I love talking to people.
Just to see if there's a fit. But also, like, see where this can take you. See how it's not going to hurt you. See
I
how
will
it
not
can
tell
help
you
you.
that you're going to die, and I don't
Yeah.
read your mind.
See how it would help you in the business world. See how it would help you in your family life. See how this would help you in whatever facet you're struggling with or just want help with. You might not be struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a great holistic way to look at it, and it applies to real estate, which is why, I mean, we got connected over
Mm-hmm.
real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Thank goodness.
yeah.
Are
It
you
was a great
doing
connection.
virtual consultations, or do they have to physically come in to see you?
No, the consultation can be in any way, shape, or form they prefer.
Awesome.
And, you know, I take cases out of state too, so a lot of times it has to be virtual.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good life.
I love it.
It is.
Oh, that just brought up so many other stories I could have told you.
I know.
guys.
This is our next podcast.
I am so
This is
reining it in.
maybe it's like our Saturday morning podcast.
For sure. I can edit the podcast.
We brew some
so-
grounding tea and we talk for an hour and a half.
If there's grounding tea, I'm here.
All right, deal. That's all we have to do. That's your salary, grounding tea.
Great.
Perfect.
Bring it on.
Perfect.
You know, Tammy had to make packaged grounding tea just for me and my students. Because she made it on a whim when I said, hey, my students are really ungrounded today and we have a full day of teaching. Can you whip up something for them? We all liked it enough where she's now packaging and selling it. So
That
it's
is
my fault
awesome.
it exists. But I'm okay with
Your
that.
fault in a good way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So before we end the show, and I know it was a longer podcast than we've had. I expected it to be.
Yeah.
It's not 4 hours, though.
That's true.
You did good.
I know.
We
I
did
sent
fine.
Marcus the list of questions, and I was like, I have a feeling she's going to be talking a lot.
Which I knew was going to be. We just had to get some pointers of some things we want to talk about. But I appreciate your time for being here. But what I wanted to do, let people know how they can get in contact with you. And like I said before, if you're listening to this podcast and you've heard anything that piques your interest, please call, text, or email Bobbi. Find her on social media. Listen to that live that you have going on Facebook.
There's so many lives going on.
It will benefit you to the extent, I mean, that's to be determined, but it will help. I know it will. So how can people get in contact with you the best?
So the best place to hang out with me is at the Sacred Spiral Academy private Facebook group because I'm live in there every single Monday talking about something where I talk to all the peeps. That happens weekly. And then the free training we were talking about is for heart-based entrepreneurs. So anyone who's in real estate that wants to learn how to do some of these things on their own, that's a 5-day training. That date has not been established, but we'll be in 4 weeks. Phone number is 414-346-3267. See, I had to look it up.
Perfect.
That will take you to Ashley, who will set up a time to talk with me if you want to talk over anything. I don't charge for that. That's just can I help you? Where are you at? Do you feel comfortable? Otherwise, if email is your jam, it's support@sacredspiralacademy.com.
Perfect. And all of that will be in the show notes at the end. Again, you can find us on Facebook, Spotify, podcast, on the Apple.
Amazon
platform.
Music.
Amazon Music is fresh new. So all 4 of those. Otherwise, if you have questions you didn't catch how you can get a hold of Bobbi, you can contact us. We'll always direct you. And if you find me outside of these confines, just out and about, I'm probably going to tell you to talk to Bobbi anyways. So just call Bobbi and we'll save ourselves some time, I guess. But I appreciate you being here.
It's a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I knew the show was going to be fun. I was excited for it. It was great.
Loved it.
Do you have any other questions or?
I think I'm good.
Awesome.
Oh, I expected I have so many questions.
I do have a lot more questions, but I'm going to ask
This
you
is
off
Saturday
air.
morning podcast right
Yes.
there.
Exactly. Check out our new podcast. We'll see.
No, that's great. So wrapping up show number 5.
Yes.
Catch us on social media. Ask us questions. Leave us comments. We always love interacting with you guys. Thanks for spending time with us. Great show. Great show. We'll be back with episode 6 next Friday.
Yep.
So tune in. We post them on Mondays.
We post them on Friday.
Post them on Fridays. Thank you, Natasha. See, where would I be without Natasha?
You would be lost.
This is the question.
I don't have the answer to that particular life question. I'm sorry.
I looked directly at Bobbi to answer that one, by the way.
You would be nowhere. Keep her forever.
I would not. I would be nowhere. I wouldn't.
That's right. Keep me forever.
Uh-huh.
Perfect.
That's on recording, so you can play it over and over whenever
I
you're
love it.
questioning.
That should be your ringtone when I call.
Keep her forever. Keep her forever. I'm so sorry. You're going to end up with
I
a
feel like
ringtone.
I'm guaranteeing Natasha's going to make that ringtone.
Oh, for sure. I definitely am.
If you can figure out how to put that on my phone for every time you call,
Oh, yes. I
it's all yours.
I'm so excited.
This is amazing. This is magic.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
All right, before we get another tangent, wrapping it up, thank you for listening. We enjoy you guys listening to us. We always love having the shows. We will be back next week on Friday. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.